Round one of the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide saw Dustin Johnson go low, really low. That was his third at the 15th. Johnson would make birdie from there at the par 5, one of his 10 birdies on the day en route to a 64. Among those pursuing would be the world's #1 player, Jason Day. He also lives about 25 minutes from here, and he's also at 15. From the fairway, he hit it flush. His second shot was stout. Jason showing off his immense skills, and he would make that eagle putt, which got him to 6 under at the time.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
The 41st Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide, and unfortunately, Mother Nature has reared her ugly head here in central Ohio. Some rain fell during the day, but now all of a sudden, lightning is in the area. So things have kind of cleared out on the golf course. Dustin Johnson with those 10 birdies, a couple of bogeys, 64 has a one-shot lead over Brendan Steele, who also had 10 birdies on the day to go along with a bogey and a double bogey. And because of that threat of lightning, we are inside the beautiful clubhouse here at Muirfield Village Golf Club. Steve Sands, pleased to be alongside Tripp Eisenhower and David Duvall. David, what were your impressions on day one?
Well, Muirfield Village, I think, yielded exactly what you'd expect out of a golf course, so beautifully designed, which is good scores on an entirely benign day. Perfectly conditioned, perfectly manicured. Greens are running just as you'd want as a professional player. No wind, receptive. What do you expect to happen with the best players in the world?
And the thing about this golf course is it does reward good shots. And if you are capable of hitting the shots in the right positions, you can score on this golf course. In round #1 this year is a beautiful example of that. You do pay the penalty when you stray here, but so far today, a lot of low scores, and we'll see if it continues with the weather forecast. Pretty solid for the rest of the week, although Sunday looks a little questionable at this point.
One of the guys we saw go low, the world's #1 player. Let's go to the highlights right now. Onto the golf course with Jason Day, the local resident. He and his wife Ellie and the family live nearby. 5th hole, par 5, third shot, putting from the fringe.
Well, right where you would expect to see Jason Day on a par 5, right up around the hole, flag high, and leaves an easy little 2-putt for Jason Day, and he's quickly 3 under.
All right, now to the 6th hole. It's a par 4. He's putting for birdie here from about 40 feet, David.
Bailed out to the right a little bit. You can see him aiming a good 8-9 feet right of the hole. It's coming across the green, down a slope, catches the fall line and runs out 4 or 5 feet, leaving him, what do you think for Jason Day is not much of a putt?
Well, he missed it, so he ended up making a bogey there. Now, Jason Day, look at the bunker play here at 8.
Boy, that is a difficult bunker shot he makes look really easy. That was fast, sloping away from him. Jason Day saves par.
He does to remain 2 under. Now at the 11th hole, par 5, another birdie putt.
Yeah, a little bit out of position here, putting down the slope. You can see barely gets it rolling, breaking a good 1.5 to the right, but he makes it.
To 3 under par. Now to the 12th trip, the par 3. How about this?
Well, Jason Day, this hole over on the right, very few players actually aim at that flag, but Jason Day, of course, world #1. He's got a beautiful distance and beautiful distance control, and he's actually right of the hole, amazingly, on that difficult 12.
Like a Sunday Augusta 12-hole location. Now his birdie putt from 9 feet.
Well, something Jason Day's been doing for a long, long time, and that's making lots of putts, and he does it right there, moving himself to 4 under par.
All right, at the 13th hole now, he just keeps rolling along, putting for birdie.
He does indeed, and this for 3 in a row. Beautiful little gap wedge in there for Jason Day, exactly flag high, and another one on the scorecard for Jason.
To 5 under par. Now, after a bogey at 14, how about this at 15? What a shot, David.
What an incredible drive to put himself actually right on top of the slope, 217 yards. You can see him saying, be good. Well, you know what? It's beyond good. It's spectacular. Something we're not surprised from him. A towering long iron shot to 6 or 8 feet, and he'd make that for eagle.
Yep, the eagle putt coming up.
Yeah, and Jason Day on the par 5s. Well, you can't play him much better than he did in round #1.
To 6 under par. Now staying with Jason, and we're on the 17th hole now. It's a par 4, the third shot from the greenside bunker. How about this touch?
This is some of the amazing thing about the golf he's been playing is that he's so often in position, but when he's out of position, he does this time and time again. He removes all stress from his round of golf. hits a beautiful shot from a bad position, makes an easy par.
All right, now putting for birdie at 18.
Well, even though you're flag high on this green, you're going to have a putt with a lot of break. There's a lot of slope on this green, and Jason Day, maybe just a touch too much speed, but that's about it for Jason.
Well, you're not going to argue with a 6 under par 66, but they don't hand out trophies, David, on Thursday. These numbers seem very odd for a player of his caliber.
Well, yeah, they do, but you know what? He's just one of these guys who is so adept at everything he does on the golf course right now. We've talked about a little bit controlling irons, but he drives it so beautifully, hits it fairly straight for the distance he hits it. When he's out of position, he manages to get up and down. So that's just one of those things where he makes kind of the difficulty look routine.
All right, let's hear from Jason now.
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, it was, I said earlier this week that I feel good about my game, and today hit nice from tee to green, gave myself opportunities on the greens, and then also capitalized on those. I'm pleased because usually I come into this event and start pretty poorly, maybe put a little bit too much pressure on myself, and it is my home course, and you want to play well and you want to win this tournament because of Mr. Nicholas and what he's done with, the golf tournament and the golf course as well, and a lot of history behind this. But 3 more days to go.
Is it hard to start that way and keep patience when you see 8 under on the board?
Oh, he's 9. I mean, he was 9. I'm sitting there at 9 with 2 holes left. I'm like, they're good. If you get on the green, they're good birdie opportunities on 17 and 18. And I'm sitting there going, oh man, I got to be patient. I can't go out and just try and force things and chase things, even though I alluded to it early in the week that I was going to try and play conservative. There were some tee shots that I did play a little bit more aggressive, but I was more comfortable on those shots. And there were some tee shots that I pulled back and ended up making birdie, which was nice, and kept that momentum going.
So when you saw Dustin put up that number, you had to make a conscious decision to not try to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it was perfect scoring conditions out there today. No wind, the greens were very receptive, and the greens were rolling nice. They were perfect out there. So, to be able to get off to a good start and birdieing 1 and 3 was great. But once again, I just said to myself, I said, just be patient with yourself, because you can easily play yourself out of the tournament if you don't give yourself the opportunities or get yourself into contention to have those opportunities. And sometimes you can walk off this course scratching your head and really go, I didn't play that bad, but I just kind of put myself out of position. But Mr. Nicholas just told me earlier, like Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday, he said, just play within yourself, and being patient is key out here. And when you see an 8 under, it's hard to be patient. But pleased.
So Jason has a ton of confidence right now, Tripp, and his game is spectacular. Is there any weakness at all right now?
I mean, when you look at all parts of his game, what he's doing, he's #1 player in the world for a reason. But if there is one weakness that you can nitpick at, and trust me, that's what I'm doing. I'm nitpicking here. And if you look at his proximity to the hole numbers, this is it. I mean, these are his wins, okay? Now, it doesn't have the match play in because they didn't have the shot link stats. So look at his proximity ranks in the wins that he's had going back to the RBC Canadian Open last year. 25th was his best proximity. That shows what he's doing with his putter and his short game, and Jason Day is doing that wonderfully. If he was going to tidy it up, I would focus on getting the ball flag high. When you're in between clubs, don't go with the higher club and try to hit it hard. Back off just a touch and let the distance control be there. And when you have that kind of distance control, you're going to have more control over your spin as well. And so Jason Day, if he could focus on getting the ball flag high, and again, I am nitpicking here, and I think the reason why his proximity numbers are a little off, it's not that he's missing it right or left, it's that he misses it short and long sometimes, because a lot of his shots have been going right at the flag. And here's a beautiful example on the 13th today. And Jason Day, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He hits the ball flag high, and I hate to say it for the rest of the PGA Tour players, what he's been doing so far, it's just amazing. If he starts getting the ball flag high and tighten up those proximity numbers, look out for Jason Day, well, even more than you're already looking out for.
Well, especially considering where he's playing from. You look at it today, he hit it 30 yards further than the average of the field. So you tighten up the proximity, be that much closer to the green. Lights out.
Is he at the point now, Tripp, where when you see him playing well, that it's not lights out for the rest of the guys, but when he is on his game, that it is look out for the other guys?
Well, I think so, because the holes in his game that are really so small is his short game's there when he does occasionally miss the green, and right now he's the best putter on the planet. And when you combine that kind of power with that kind of precision on the greens, again, when you look at his name atop the leaderboard, you don't see him backing up at all as a player.
No, and the putter, as well as he putts and as well as he pitches the ball around the green, that gives him freedom to fire that many more flags. You know, the confidence you derive from having that ability around the green is irreplaceable in professional golf, because there's positions where he can get on the golf course and fire at some flags that other players won't fire at because of his greatness around the greens. It's reminiscent a bit of Tiger Woods. He could take on lines that other players wouldn't normally take on, because he could get it up and down so routinely from those positions.
We're throwing all these compliments at Jason Day right now, and Jordan Spieth is coming off a win last week on the PGA Tour. Rory McIlroy is coming off a recent win at the Irish Open. So the game of golf is very healthy right now at the top, with 1, 2, and 3 all playing here this week. But they're all chasing this man, Dustin Johnson, 8 under par today, 64, and he did it with shots like this at 15.
Well, par 5, you would expect Dustin Johnson right around there. If there is a weakness in his game, David, it would be the short game, the pitching, the chipping, and the putting. Well, there you can see on display there out of the bunker. Great touch.
Yeah, beautiful round of golf from Dustin Johnson today. He has the ability to just overpower golf courses, very similar to Jason Day. Rory McIlroy was on full display today, easy up and down there on the par 5 15th.
You give him a golf course with 4 par 5s, and you just know that Dustin is going to attack those par 5s, and then if he does anything on the others, he's going to shoot scores like he did right there. In 9 years here, this is the lowest round Dustin has ever recorded. How about Brendan Steele? He matched Johnson's 10 birdies on his way to 65. Matt Kuchar, bogey-free on his round. Jason Day also put himself in a nice position after the first day, as we saw in the highlights and our discussion as well. But after his round, let's go back to the top and hear from Dustin Johnson, who spent some time with Todd Lewis.
Night start at the Memorial for Dustin Johnson, his lowest ever round shot here, that's 64. How about 10 birdies your first 15 holes? How good was your performance, in your opinion, out there today?
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. I felt like yesterday, I got a lot of good work in, and I hit it really well yesterday, and then so, kind of just carried right over into today. I felt like, I drove it, pretty well. Hit a couple loose ones, but, I hit my irons really well today. I hit a lot of great shots, a lot of close ones too. I think I made one long putt that was on 13, but other than that, they were all, inside 10 feet.
Let's broaden out a little bit and talk about your game in general. We are now in June, heavy months of great tournaments coming up. Do you feel like this is an indication of where your game is?
Yeah, I feel like I've played well all year, solid, pretty consistently, had a few times I've, had some chances to win, just hadn't been able to quite get it done, a little off here or there, but I feel like I'm striking the ball really well. My wedge game's really improved, the thing that has been struggling a little bit is the putter, and I feel like it's starting to come around a little bit. I felt like I hit a lot of good putts today. Even the ones that didn't go in, I felt like, I hit them right down the lines and they looked like they were going to go in.
This is Dustin's second consecutive start on the PGA Tour. He didn't play last week at Colonial, but did play at the AT&T Byron Nelson 2 weeks ago, where he has opened with a 64. It's his 11th first-round lead or co-lead in his PGA Tour career, and he has converted 3 of those previous 10 into victories. So what did you see out of Dustin Johnson today that makes you think that he can move forward over the next 54 holes and pick up the trophy, perhaps?
I saw him putt beautifully, and that's the thing for Dustin Johnson. We know the putter at times can be a little bit iffy, but when it's on, I mean, Dustin Johnson makes a golf course so short off the tee where he can hit it, and when you have the kind of touch around the greens and on the greens, I mean, that's his weakness, and when he's good there, he's going to be very difficult to beat if it continues. And the other thing, too, that I like what Dustin's done, David, is he recognizes that his wedge game, really his game from, say, 60 to 135 yards, isn't as solid as it can be. Part of that's due to his shut club face, and distance control is tough with that. But he's been working on that. And when you have that kind of distance, if you can tidy up the wedges, be good on the greens, Dustin Johnson's always formidable.
Well, a player like him who hits it that far, he hits it as straight as anybody, too, especially at that distance. we've talked about it a lot. All he needs to do is tidy up the wedges. That's really been his problem, and it's more of a speed control. He needs to soften his arms, flatten out the flight of the golf ball. He generates so much speed and spin with his golf club when he strikes a golf ball. With just about everything he does, it gets hard to control. And so, similar to Jason Day, he needs to soften up a little bit. He actually putts the ball pretty darn well. He has a lot of looks at it. You know, he hits it close a lot, and it's not surprising to see a guy like him go out and make 10 birdies on a golf course as receptive as this today.
We talked about Dustin Johnson. We saw his highlights, 8 under par, 64 leads after round 1 here of the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide. We talked about the #1 player in the world, Jason Day. What about numbers 2 and 3? Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy. We have not forgotten about those gentlemen. They were on the golf course in the morning wave on Thursday. We will recap their highlights and hear what the gentlemen have to say to our left when we come back.
Golf Central is brought to you by the Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X. Make a difference in your game. Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.